Okay, Coach K has arrived and taken a seat, so we're going to go ahead and let him get his camera and his mic turned on, and when he's ready and we see him on the screen, we will All right, with that, if you could just raise your hands, we'll start with Mike Farrell. Go ahead, Mike. If you can't unmute yourself, I will unmute you, but I think you can do it yourself. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Pete. I'm just curious about your early impressions of your freshman outside linebackers, Savell and Loloja. Just what you've seen from them, whether it's on the field or strength and conditioning or just learning the system. Just what have your impressions been of them?
Yeah, effort's been really good. They're picking up the calls and what they're supposed to do. They're they're making mistakes, but they're playing hard and practicing hard and getting better. Savell's flashing out there, doing some good stuff, and so far so good. I'm pleased with their progress.
All right, we'll go to Christian Capel. Lauren will be next. Go ahead, Christian.
Hey, Pete, on Loloja specifically, just where's he at physically compared to 3 years ago when he signed with you guys and then you were scouting him out of high school?
Yeah, I think he's still, he's off season away from where he needs to be. Coming back off the mission and then the pandemic, not really getting into the workouts like we normally do is it was an issue with his conditioning and where we'd like him to be, but so probably a year away.
All right, thank you. We'll go to Lauren with Ruth on deck. If you want to ask a second question, please re-raise your hand. Thank you. Go ahead, Lauren.
Hi, Pete. I was just wondering, when it comes to those younger guys, those freshmen, and not having kind of a typical build up to the season, is there a difference you've noticed in getting them ready for the year?
Actually, it's for the hoops we've had to jump through with Zoom meetings and the lack of physical contact practices. It's been pretty good as far as being able to get these guys the reps they need for their alignment and assignment. So it's actually been pretty good. It's now we got the shoulder pads on today, and so these guys have been going pretty good without the shoulder pads. It's been better than expected for sure.
All right, thank you. Ruth Robbins is up now, and then Masvidal will be after him. Go ahead.
Coach, I wondered about Latu and how his progression is from last year to this year, and just could you just talk a minute about how he's doing and coming along?
It's night and day in a good way. Think the Joe Tryon's progression and his improvement from being a freshman to a redshirt freshman. Leatu's farther along. He's practicing extremely well, making a lot of plays. I'm very, very impressed with him and expect big things out of him this year. It's been impressive so far.
And as a follow-up to that, I wondered also about some of the guys we haven't seen a lot from, like Braylon Trice and these younger guys.
Yeah, so Braylon is redshirt last year, and he plays with great effort, and we just got to get him more dialed with his consistency. But I mean, the effort is awesome. He shows flashes out there, and just got to keep grinding away with him.
All right, we'll go to Masvidal with Anthony Edwards on deck. A reminder to please mute yourself when you're not actually asking the question. Thank you. Go ahead, Maz, then Anthony.
Sure. Hey, Coach, I know you touched a little bit on this. Just wondering how the team has been competing, their focus, and now that they're back playing. Overall, how's the competition been?
Yeah, it's the guys. It's been awesome. We've been cooped up in our homes and not been able to get together for a long time, and now we've been doing it for a few weeks now, and the competition is good. It's guys are getting after it. A lot of enthusiasm, some good smack talk out there, and it's been awesome. These guys are dialed into it and happy to be back playing football.
Anthony, before you go, I'm going to break in for just a sec, Coach. Everybody should have the ability to record. Again, we apologize for the latecomers that we didn't get the word to you in time, but you do have the ability to record. With that, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to Anthony, who will be followed by Christian Capel. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Anthony.
Hey, Coach. I know you've had a relationship with MJ for quite a while. How has he responded to his injury, and just what have you seen from him, like, since you guys met a while ago?
Which MJ are you talking about?
Tafisi.
Okay, yeah, he's doing great. He yesterday he had a couple really nice plays in dropping in zone coverage. Should have had 2 picks, had a big one that was really impressive, and yeah, he's getting more comfortable. He's got confidence back in his with his health and his body, and he looks good out there.
Thanks.
Anthony Edwards, that's the actor, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I went back to school.
All right, Christian is up right now. We'll be followed by Mike Farrell, then Dan Riley. Go ahead with your question, Christian.
Pete, if you had to describe what Ryan Bowman's specialty is as an outside linebacker, like what he's best at, how do you think you'd describe that?
He's a defensive end that plays the C gap and rushes the passer. That's his specialty.
You can follow that up if you like, Christian.
Just how much better is he? What's he improved on the most over these last few years? I know he's obviously been a productive player for you guys for a while now.
You know, I mean, just probably more so, and he's been here for a long time, and you know how he can help the young guys with their transition into college, and then you know he's got a little bit dry sense of humor. So in meetings, you know, he can be entertaining at times. But from a football aspect, just his steadiness. You know, he's consistent guy. You know, going into this year, just really want him to you know, take his playmaking ability to the next level.
All right, we'll go to, I believe we're at Mike Farrell. Is that right, or was that the last question?
Oh, that's right. Thanks.
So go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Pete, I'm wondering about Zion. It looks like he gained 14, 15 pounds this offseason. I'm wondering how that changes what he can do physically.
He looks great out there. I saw the weight the other day. It said something like 278, and my jaw dropped because he's moving. He's not moving like a 278. I mean, he looks good. And when we're dropping him in coverage, he's fluid. He's running well. He's going to lose some of that weight. I think that was a little bit of the pandemic buffet issues there, but he looks really good, really athletic. And we talked about Liatu earlier. Zion's another one that's, you know, he's taken his playmaking ability to another level. He's playing more physical. He's playing more consistent. And I really expect big things out of him this year too.
All right, we'll go to Dan Riley, followed by Masvidal, and then Fetters. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, hi, Pete. The other day, Jimmy Lake said that the 2 freshman rush ends, and I'm assuming that's Savell, Smalls, and Loloja, had shown moves that he hadn't seen in a while. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm not sure who he's talking about. Savell, yeah, Savell's showing up. He's flashing. For a freshman, he is physical. He's not afraid of contact, and you know, he plays with pretty good intensity for a true freshman. And then I'm not because Jordan plays a different position. So yeah, Savell's definitely a guy that's showing up.
All right, I believe we're at Masvidal right now. Go ahead, Mas.
Coach, I just had to circle back. I know it's not about you. Coaches don't like to talk about themselves, but when you answered my question, you were smiling. How happy are you to get back into coaching, into football, given everything that's happened?
Yeah, it's you read my body language well. It's like we've been cooped up for whatever months, and trying to do as much as we could, which was actually, looking back, I mean, I think we got a lot done with the time that we had with our meetings, being able to communicate with these guys and get the information to them through these Zoom meetings. And then when we were able to get back together and start actually doing 11-on-11 stuff, the guys picked it up really fast. There wasn't a ton of glaring busts. I mean, they knew where to line. They knew what they were supposed to do, their assignment. Now that we got pads on, and we're actually meeting with them in person, all the detail stuff is going to get cleaned up. But it's been really good. We've gotten a lot of stuff done over these last couple months as it started to go back and forth between when we could be together more.
All right, we'll go to Fetters, then Anthony, then Nicholas. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Coach K, I just was curious, going back to Jordan Loloja, can you talk a little bit about his journey and kind of, what you anticipated seeing from him and when you first recruited him and how he's shown up maybe the first couple days? Yeah,
so, we recruited him out of East High School, and then we knew he was going to – there was a strong chance he was going to go on a mission, so which he did. And then, coming back off the mission, usually those guys, they need a good off season to get back in shape, because they're not allowed to do anything on their missions. They get like an hour of free time, but they can't go to like workout places and stuff like that. So they're doing, if they're doing it, it's going to be push-ups. They might be able to play basketball or something like that. So he came off of that and then right into the sign of the pandemic. And so he's definitely been, he hasn't been able to take advantage of that the winter and spring workouts with Saha. The spring ball would have really helped. And so, where we're at right now is he's got a little ways to go to get himself back to where he was before he went on his mission.
All right, we'll go to, I think the order is Anthony, then Nicholas, then Ruth. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hey, Coach. So you've had a relationship with Jimmy for your whole time here when you've been at UW, and just what have you seen from him evolve as a coach over the years? And did you ever anticipate Coach Peterson stepping down and this change happening?
So me and Jimmy go back to when he was a senior at Eastern Washington. I was a D-line coach at Eastern Washington back in 1998. And so I've known Jimmy for a while now. We were able to coach there. When he got done, he was a student assistant, and then we coached again at Montana State for a year. And then coached at, he came to Boise. When our DB coach left there, and we've been together ever since with Coach Pete. Now him being the head coach, just his growth as a obviously X's and O's secondary play is second to none, and then his growth as the team building. When we're younger, we all have egos, and it's all we're just young. We got all that. We got all the answers and all that, and his growth as far as the team building, stuff that we've learned from Coach Peterson over the years with team unity, that vibe that you want as a team, holding guys accountable, doing the right things, being a real man. I mean, I can go on and on, all the life skills that we've learned, and how important it is teaching these guys at this age group that they're in football is important to us. We want to win a lot of games. We want to win championships. We want to go to the national championship. We want to go to Rose Bowls. But again, keeping it in perspective, that this window that we got of football as a football player is very short in the grand scheme of things. And so I think, him and myself over the years has learned that from Coach Peterson is keeps us grounded. And when it's going good, we're not too high. When it's going bad, we're not too low. And, keeping that even keel, and we're on to the next challenge. And so the second question, Coach Peterson, no, I had no idea or thought he was, eventually, yeah, but I thought it was a ways down the line. But when he came in and said that, and I heard that, I wasn't shocked. I was shocked, but I wasn't surprised. Just knowing him and knowing, he always would say, if you don't have the passion for what you're doing, or what, it's like the energy, and it's time for a change. And that's the one thing that Coach Pete is always, he always preached to us. He's always taught the team. Everybody he's touched, it's like, you're all in for whatever you're doing, and you're giving it your all, and you got to do it with energy and passion. And for whatever reason you lose that or don't have it, it's time to do something different. And so that's what I mean by, I was, I guess, I don't know, surprised but not shocked.
All right, thank you, Coach. Two more questions. We'll go to Nicholas first and then Ruth after that. Thank you.
Hey, Coach. Having such expertise around the defensive line, what have you seen from Tuli Gasinoa so far, and how does he look to step up in his second full season?
Yeah, Tuli is an explosive guy that he's got to keep cleaning up his technique, his pad level, footwork. But he's an explosive guy. He can push the pocket. He can get off blocks and run down plays, tackle to tackle. He's a guy that expects a lot of he expects him to own the middle, and he's shown he can do it. Like everybody, we're looking for that consistency, but he could be and should be a dominant player for us.
All right, we'll go to last question for Coach. It's Ruth Robbins. Go ahead, Ruth.
Yeah, I know you hate answering questions like this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What do you think? I mean, looking at this depth you've got right now at outside linebacker, do these guys have the potential to be the strongest group you've had since being a coach at Washington?
You're talking the outside, the guys in my room? You're talking about the outside linebackers? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I do. We got really good depth. We got Rhino, Leatu, Zion, played a lot of football. And then we got Braylon. Am I missing somebody there? Braylon. Trying to go through the guys in my head here. But we got guys that have played, and then we got talented guys coming in. Savell, Cooper McDonald's playing out there now for us, and then I would agree with that statement. I think this could be a special unit.
All right, with that, we'll close it out with Coach. Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. Everybody else,
All right, thank you.
We'll be back shortly with one of the two players. So stick around. Don't.
Jeff, you're a great host.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
All right, as we can see, Ryan Bowman has joined us. We will go ahead and let you get your hands raised to ask a question for Ryan. Look through the list here. We'll get going with, we'll start with Chris Fetters, and Lauren Kirschmann will be on deck. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Ryan, I was just curious, with Joe gone now, it really looks like it's kind of your room now in terms of being the leader, the senior, the guy that everyone's going to look to. How does that kind of maybe change things for you a little bit and maybe up the stakes for you?
I wouldn't say it changes much. I mean, last year's me and Joe were kind of leading the group, and then now with all the young guys that we have, it's kind of a cool thing to see because all the dudes that we have a lot of potential. So there's not fall off in the group. It's like we got Joe gone. Joe's doing his thing. We still got a ton of guys that can play. So it doesn't really change anything, honestly.
All right, we'll go to Lauren Kirschmann. Mike Farrell is on deck. Go ahead, Lauren.
You mentioned the young guys. You've got some new guys in the room, incoming freshmen. What's kind of stood out to you about those guys?
They all work tremendously hard, and they're just like the other guys that we've always had. I mean, that's the type of dudes that Coach K brings in. So there's no fall off. All of them work hard, and all of them are always trying to get better. There's nobody that's slacking. There's nobody that's not working as hard as another guy. So we all got a bunch of dudes with an eighth grade mentality. It's what we talk about here is always trying to absorb information and learn new things. So we're pretty fortunate to have all those dudes be like that, not have any slackers in the group.
All right, we'll go to Mike Farrell. Anthony's after him. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Ryan. I'm just curious, you do so many different things in your role. How do you define kind of what your role is with this team and what's the next step for you in your final season here?
I'm just a defensive lineman, honestly. I'll play any position on the line and always try to make things happen and always try to be explosive wherever I'm at. So you could literally put me anywhere. And that's just for the next step for me. That's just setting the table to be able to play anything on the D-line.
All right, we'll go to Anthony Edwards. Ruth is on deck. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hey, Ryan, during your guys' time off, how did you really stay focused on football throughout that whole thing?
Just knowing that at any moment things could change and we could be back in this building, back practicing, back working out. So just to make sure that nothing changes routine-wise was the main focus. So just lifting weights, practicing football agility, practicing football technique, and just nonstop sticking in the routine. Because if we fell off on any routine, we wouldn't be as prepared coming back in here. So just making sure we stick in our routine and act like tomorrow everything could change. We'll be back in the building.
All right, we'll go to Ruth. Ruth will be followed by Nicholas. Go ahead, Ruth.
And your story is a success story. I mean, you came in, you went over to Florida to IMG to do your senior year. You got the preferred walk-on opportunity. You came to UW. You got the scholarship. Now you've been starting for a couple of years. I mean, what would you tell a guy coming in that was a walk-on and tell him, here's what you need to do to get to this point? I mean, what would be your advice?
I would say regardless of everything, always maintain confidence in yourself because there's a lot of outside noise. There's a lot of people that talk. Coaches might not mess with you as much at first. So you always have to maintain confidence in yourself and your own abilities and always strive to get better every day. And you have to look at it from the standpoint like, I may be a fourth string guy right now, but I'm going to come in here with the best attitude possible and just try to get better. So if you act like that every day, stuff starts to change.
All right, we'll go to Nicholas at the Daily, followed by Chris Fetters, then Maz. Go ahead, Nicholas.
Yeah, as an anchor of the front seven now, especially without Tron and Unzerike, what have you seen from some of the, not just the younger guys, but returning guys like Thule and some of the other younger players?
I'd say that everyone's a lot more vocal. There's a ton of energy. Guys are really excited to make names for themselves, and that's exciting for me, to be with those guys in the line. It's like we got a lot of guys that are really hungry. So, I mean, that's exciting for me, and that should be exciting for all you guys as well. We got the guys that are truly ready to make names for themselves.
All right, we'll go to Fetters, followed by Masvita, then Lauren, then Varel. Go ahead, Fetters.
Hey, Ryan, again, it just was also real curious. You mentioned some of those guys. I know there's a lot of people that are out there trying to get some information on how Savell has looked so far, especially being a local guy coming through. What have you seen from a guy like Savell, young guy?
Yeah, he looks great, and he's a dude that is trying to get better. He asks questions. He's got a good mentality. It's like guys like that always elevate, so regardless, and he's got all the tools, so he'll be a great player for sure.
All right, Masvita, then Lauren. Go ahead, Mas.
Sure. Hey, Ryan, I just wondering if you've given some thought into your leadership, just because obviously you are and you have been. Is there anything you think about that, or it's just become natural for you right now? And what legacy would you like to leave as a leader of this team, on and off?
I say it comes natural. And just being the oldest guy in the room right now, it's a lot of young guys in there. And the legacy that I want to leave is that we're the most physical dudes on the team. We want to be real hard-nosed, bad, nasty dudes. Like, that's just how we're all going to be in that room. So, I mean, under Coach K, it's easy to be like that, because that's the mentality that he brings, and we manifest off that energy, and all our dudes are like that. So that's the legacy I'd like to leave for outside backers. And just as a leader, just be nasty as hell.
All right. We'll go to Lauren and then Mike Farrell after Lauren. Go ahead, Lauren.
I was just wondering, I mean, with the offseason, the way that it was and all of the uncertainty, did you feel a responsibility as
We lost the tail end of that question, Lauren.
situation with a lot of virtual work and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, when guys are young, there's tons of distractions. And with the uncertainty, like you said, it's like dudes don't know when we're going to be back in the building. But, like, as a leader, we just get together and make sure we're hanging out all the time as a unit. So we'll be hanging out all the time as a unit. Every time we're hanging out, we're working out, we're training, we're doing pass rush, whatever. And we're hanging out, too. Like, we're doing fun stuff. We're not just all football business. It helps to maintain dudes, being focused, remaining focused. So it helps just hang out all the time, and we're working out, but we're also having fun and doing a mix of that. So it helped us all stay focused and stick in a routine.
All right, we'll go to Mike Farrell, followed by Christian. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Ryan, you mentioned the phrase eighth grade mentality, and I was wondering if you could kind of break down what that means.
Yeah, so Coach Pete talked about it a lot earlier, and it's about just how an eighth grader is always trying to learn, absorb information and learn new things. Like they're going into high school. It's like, oh my God, I want to learn how to do this, how to do that. Like, what's this like next year? So Coach Pete always talked about when we come in, we have to have an eighth grade mentality. It's like, no matter how much you think you might know, you always got to absorb more information. You always got to be ready to absorb new things and new techniques and have an open mindset to take coaching. So that eighth grade mentality is all the dudes in the room are always ready to learn, and nobody's like acting offended when a coach tells them to fix something or when they don't do something right. So it helps when everyone's like that, because then everyone is always just striving to get better. No one has an ego about it. So it's eighth grade mentality is just absorbing information and trying to get better every day.
All right. Our last question, unless we get another raised hand, will be from Christian Capel. Go ahead, Christian.
Hey, Ryan, obviously you guys play two outside linebackers at a time a lot. I'm just curious if you could describe the differences between those two positions and how they might be similar also.
Yeah, so typically we're in the nickel formation. In our nickel formation, we have a jack and we have an X. The jack usually plays on the strong side, and the X plays on the weak side. And typically the X is the guy that will be dropping in coverage more often, and the jack will be the more of like the defensive end type, like potentially goes into a three tech. But they're more like the defensive end, and then X is more of an outside linebacker archetype.
All right, we do have another question from Chris Fetters. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, Ryan, also talking about another guy that came in, true freshman, Jordan Loloja. Really curious to see what you think of him so far.
Yeah, I love Jordan. I love his mentality, and he's definitely one of those dudes just like Savell that tries to get better every day with an open mindset. And, it's like every day those dudes are just building bricks. And it's exciting to see truly because, it would suck to have dudes that aren't trying to get better with bad mentalities and like big egos, but that's the opposite of what we got. So it's perfect. You got Jordan's always trying to get better. Savell's trying to get better. We got Cooper McDonald, who's also doing really well. He's really good. So it's pretty a bright future for the outside linebacker room as well, I say.
And we do have one more question from Kim Grinolds. Go ahead, Kim.
Hey, Shane, can you update us? Ryan, can you update us on what's going on with Shane? And also, you're up to 280. Can you tell us a little bit about the weight gain? Was that something you wanted to do? How'd you do that? And how do you feel at that weight?
I'll talk about Shane first. He's doing really well. He's working a sales job. So he loves doing that. And as long as he loves doing that, then that's fine. After the XFL got shut down and then they announced that the season wouldn't be coming back for a while, it's like, you got to get to work. You can't just sit around and do nothing. So he really likes what he's doing though. So that's good for him. And then about the weight, it's just I want to be looked at as a guy that can play inside because that's where I feel most comfortable and where I can make the most impact. And being at 280, that helps me become that type of archetype. And I feel great at this too. It's like no drop off because I had to lose. I was initially heavy, but I was fat. So I had to lose a bunch of fat and then slowly build muscle on my body to change my whole body composition. So doing that over this COVID quarantine really assisted with me getting my body right and doing that. So I feel great, and I feel ready to make an impact at that position.
All right, that's it for Ryan Bowman. We do appreciate you taking the time here today, Ryan. Thank you very much. We'll be
Thank
back
you.
with Elijah in a minute. And we will start with Lauren. She'll be followed by Ruth Robbins, then Mike Farrell. Go ahead when you are ready, Lauren.
Hi, Elijah. I was just wondering, obviously Trent McDuffie had a really strong freshman season. What have you been able to see from him as far as growth, and what have you seen from him over these early days of camp here?
Yeah, I trust my guy. Shoot. Trent's he's a really laid back, kind of calm and collected player and person really off the field too. And I think that's probably his strongest attribute. So just really, I mean, he's been doing what he's always been doing. It's just going out there and making plays, refining his craft and whatnot. But he's someone I really enjoy playing with.
All right, we'll go to Ruth Robbins. She'll be followed by Mike Farrell and then Chris Fetters. Go ahead, Ruth.
Elijah, we've all talked a lot about, because Jimmy's the head coach now, but Jimmy, like the maker of DBU, the great secondary coach. But what are you getting from Will Harris and Terrence Brown in terms of them taking the torch from Jimmy and coaching you up to the next level?
Yeah, it's for sure a different dynamic, especially because we have, Coach Harris and Coach TB. So instead of having one coach, now it's more a duo, which is really nice because they both offer different critiques and give different feedback. So really, I can go to one coach and I can go to the other one, and they'll give me new information to apply to my game. But really, what they've been so good at is just giving energy to practice. And we always say, like, the defense runs through our room, runs through the DB room, and really, the whole team runs through our room. That's what.
Sorry about that. He froze up on my computer. I hope he didn't on everybody else's. We'll go to Mike Farrell, followed by Chris Fetters, and then Dan Rayleigh. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Elijah, different kind of question for you. I know during the pandemic, you were reading a ton. You can see that on social media. And I'm wondering what books meant the most to you or impacted you the most and why?
That's a good question. That's part of the reason why I wanted to put on my story the books I've read is just so, first of all, I can keep track and I can kind of look back and remember what I learned from it. And also so other people could, check out cool books that I'm interested in. But I'd probably say I really like the book 4 Agreements and also Shoe Dog. Those are probably my top 2 books that I've read. And honestly, I can't remember other ones at the moment, but that's something that I really wanted to spend my time off doing because I didn't want to just, sit at home on my couch and kind of waste the quarantine time away.
All right, we'll go to Chris Fetters. He'll be followed by Dan Rayleigh, then Christian. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, Elijah, I saw a stat the other day where Washington, I think, has held their opponents to 35 points or less in 71 straight games. I think the next best in FBS is 19, if I remember right. Obviously, it predates you for sure, but I'm kind of curious for your perspective, considering how many players you guys put in the NFL year after year defensively. What's allowed you guys to stay so consistent in keeping teams out of the end zone?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing is probably we call it shoot awareness. So every defender has a responsibility in the run fit, and if you let someone slip outside if you run fit, then that's when big plays happen. So I think it just comes down to discipline, especially in tackling. And then also on the back end too, we take pride in not giving up any big plays. We're trying to limit those as much as possible. So really, like, the offense has to earn it whenever they play against us.
All right, we'll go to Dan Rayleigh, followed by Christian, and then Anthony. Go ahead, Dan.
Hi, Elijah. Jimmy Lake has said that the 4 freshman defensive backs coming in are so skilled that they might play early. Which one of those guys has shown you a skill that's made you go, wow?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're all very talented. I probably have my eyes on Case and Kinchin the most, just because he's nickel, and I've kind of taken him under my wing. And I think he's shown flashes of like Miles Bryant, kind of, is what KT and I have been talking about and whatnot. So I think he'll have a really bright future, and especially since, this season is kind of, it won't affect his eligibility at all. So he can really learn a lot.
All right, we'll go to Christian Capel, followed by Anthony. Those are all the hands we have. Just one more came up. So go ahead, Christian.
Hey, Elijah, obviously you've practiced against your offensive teammates for 3 years, and now going into your 4th now. Curious if there are guys on the offensive side of the ball who maybe haven't seen the field a lot yet, who you've been impressed by and in practice early this season, and also if any of the offensive newcomers, particularly at receiver, have stood out to you so far.
Yeah, I think Austin Osborne, AO, he's really had a good camp so far. Also Rome, the freshman, he's been making some plays. I think, and I talked to Coach June Adams about, the receiving group. He comes up to me all the time and kind of, asks what I think about how their room is doing. And really, they're getting better every day. And I think they have a lot of weight on their shoulders just because they're young and they don't have that many guys in the room compared to the DB room. We have like 25 guys in the room. So every day they know that, they got to show up and make it easy for the quarterback.
All right, we will go to Anthony Edwards, followed by Masvita. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hey, Elijah, you mentioned a couple weeks ago that the lack of a spring camp might affect the younger guys this year, but how have you seen them bounce back over the past week or two?
Can you ask that question again?
Yeah, just how have the young guys responded to this like quick change in the fall camp without the lack of a spring camp,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They've been doing a good job. I'm not sure what to say. Yeah, that's all.
That's okay. Let's go to Masvita, followed by Fetters, and then Nicholas. Go ahead, Mas.
Yeah, hey, Elijah. Just want to ask a little bit about leadership. You just talked about the coach comes to you, assessing the wide receivers, and there's 25 players in the room, and you're reading. Just how present are you to your leadership? And obviously, is that important to you? Something you think about?
Yeah, I think so. And I think in order to be a leader, I can't focus too much. Like, at the end of the day, I got to do my job too. So as long as I hold myself accountable, then I can hold other people's accountable. But really, I'm not the only leader on the team for sure. There's young guys like, Liatu is someone that comes to mind as a leader, even though he's a redshirt freshman. But there's guys all over both sides of the ball that show attributes of leadership. But really, it all comes from coaching and kind of, top down. So if they're telling us to do the right thing, and our young guys are hearing good things from the coaches, but then also when they hear from the players, also holds a different kind of weight.
All right, we'll go to Chris Fetters, followed by Nicholas. Go ahead, Chris.
Elijah, you mentioned the nickel spot and Case and Kinchin, and obviously with Miles no longer there, is it simply just your job to kind of pick up the torch where he left off and be that guy, or is there more to it in terms of maybe passing down the information that maybe he passed down to you?
Oh yeah, no doubt. And Miles was that player for me who he took me under his wing and taught me a lot about the position. And especially at nickel, there's a lot of complexities to that position. So that's what I've been helping Kaysen with. And really it's a lot I'm putting on his plate and coaches are putting on his plate, just because at that position you have to kind of command the defense. But he's doing a really good job of handling that pressure, certainly better than I did my freshman year. And kind of like what I said about Trent McDuffie, how Trent's he has a calm personality. I see the same in Kaysen.
All right, barring any additional hands going up, we'll end this with Nicholas. Oh, we just had another one go. So Nicholas and then Masvita. Go ahead, Nick.
Hey, yeah. Speaking of the defensive backfield, Asa Turner is a guy that might have a larger role this year. Can you just talk a little bit about what you've seen from him so far?
Yeah, Asa, he's the player who's immediately after practice, he stays on the field and gets extra reps. And then right after that, he goes to the weight room and gets some extra sets or whatever. So he's got that obsession that I think every great player has to have. So I think this year he'll have a really big year, and a couple years from now he's gonna be making some money.
All right, we'll go to Masvita, then Chris Fetters. Go ahead, Mas.
Yeah, just actually on that note, today's Sunday. You could have been down at CenturyLink playing. Just how much fun are you having playing football right now down at Husky Stadium?
So much fun, really. And that's something that when I talk to guys like Nick Harris and Trey Adams and Miles, that they always said, like, really take for granted your last year of college football, because stuff changes in the NFL. So I've been trying to soak it all up and really just take every day, one day at a time, and enjoy myself, play the game that I love.
All right, we'll wrap things up with Chris Fetters. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, Elijah, also real quick, obviously we haven't seen much of you guys so far, but when we do see the updated heights and weights for fall camp, you see a guy like Dom Hampton at 220, and was curious on your take of Dominique and where you see him fitting in this fall, especially if that weight's correct.
He's probably 215. I think he'll get angry if you say he's 220. But I think one thing that people might not know about Dom is he's really fast. Like, he clocks like 22 miles per hour. And I'll compete with him on those speed days. But he's really refining his craft at corner. And then also I think when he takes the next step and starts to learn different positions, then he'll be, we'll able to utilize him in numerous roles. But yeah.
All right, that's it. Thank you very much for your time, Elijah. We appreciate it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you again
Thank
soon.
you guys.